So class, today we're going to be doing the string test review. So please realize this version will be giving you all the answers. So spoiler, so make sure you give this a try first before watching this, and then watch the movie and go over your answers. So the first one, what we're doing here is we are going over this thing called a mystery function. Now, as you know from the Java docs, so the concept of the mystery method is we're basically taking one of these methods here, replacing the name with mystery, and then replacing these parameters with just a variable that doesn't tell you what it does. And the point of this is that you can look at the method to see what it does without actually looking at it. So what we're seeing here is we don't even care what this mystery function does. What we care about is the declaration of it, which means public string mystery. The question asks, which is the correct method call for the following function, or just to say method. Assume no other code exists. So when we say public, that means we can call it outside of the class. String means it returns a string. So the method call actually is a value string after it's done, and there's no parameter. Obviously, the name of the method is mystery, so it has to have mystery in there. This says it takes in a string. There's no string, my string, inside these parentheses, so it can't be this. This doesn't handle the fact that it's a string. This says string incorrect equals mystery, which means this value mystery becomes a string. So if this was replaced with a string, would this code work? String incorrect equals a value of a string. Yes, it would work because we're assigning this value of a string to a string. This has a parameter of an integer. This would need, so the int c mystery 1, it would need to look like this. So I would need a string x. The next one, I don't even know what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because there's no commas there. So I don't know what variable type that is. So I don't know what goes in there, but something has to. Either 5 integers or 1 integer with no spaces. The next one, which is the string incorrect mystery, is correct. So I'm going to skip that one. The if mystery 1, this would have to have an int x because I'm passing in an integer, or of type long. We don't know which one the two is. This would have to return a Boolean because it is inside an if statement, so it has to have a Boolean value. So a Boolean is a true-false value, so this has to say if true or false. This mystery 1 has to return nothing because I'm not doing anything with it. So void means it doesn't return anything, so there's no value there. Whereas this Boolean says this value right here becomes true or false, depending on the method. Int c, this would return a integer, and a, I think, is a character a. But this is technically a variable that's not declared, so this could be of any type that the variable a is. So I'm actually going to put a question mark here because we don't know given the limited information. And int c would be int because I'm returning an int with no parameters. So what you should be able to do is you should be able to create this list given off of all of these. So the correct answer here would be string incorrect mystery because we're returning a string. So this value becomes a string and we're assigning that to the variable incorrect. Let's look at the next one. Correct method call for this. What you should be looking at before you look at this is, what does it return? Nothing. What does it take in? A string. So does this take in a string? Yes. Double quotes means a string even though it's a value number. It's the character 1, not the number 1. However, the Boolean is not of type void, so this would not work. This is of type, this would not work. This is type int. This is of type void, this is of type void, and these two are of type void. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of type void, technically 5. Then we ask which one type takes in a string. This is a string, this is a variable of unknown type, this is nothing, and this is a, I don't know what it is because there's a space in between the variables. So the only correct one that we know is happy. Technically, it could be hello, but no other code exists, so this is an error message because hello does not exist. So that would be the answer. Again, returns nothing of parameter string a. The value here doesn't matter because we never see this outside of the method call. This is a placeholder for the value inside this method, but outside of this method, A means nothing. So this A does not mean this A. They're two different A's. Next one, which is a correct method call for the following blah, 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 blah. Public Boolean returns a Boolean, takes in an integer. Boolean, integer. Done. The next one, so this would be int age 18 or older. Are you able to buy a lottery ticket? If A is less than 18, return false. Else return true. The next one, what does this print? It's a print, not a print line. It prints the stuff in between the double quotes because it's a string. It prints nothing. Nothing would be wrong because it doesn't print nothing. So it would be the null character. And it doesn't print the blank space because the blank space is a character. That would look like this, would be the blank space. And nothing would be nothing. This would print nothing to the screen, literally nothing to the screen. Because that's what it's asking. The null character is no character. In order to do this, it would actually be, I think it's backslash double quote, backslash double quote, backslash is the way to print a special character. Otherwise, this thinks it matches with this. So it would be the null character. It doesn't print the end-line character because that would be print ln, would be the end-line character. So again, it's null character. The answer is 2 because there's 2 things inside the parentheses. The int mystery, that int is the return type. It's not a parameter. So it'd be 2 because 1, 2. Easy way to remember this is parameters looks like parentheses. Par. Which is about par for the course. Next one. Why is int.nextLine required to get an int from the user after the following code? Well, because when I type in stuff, and I type in 5, 5 is the next int. When I press enter to give the value 5, I also give an end line characters. This next int reads in 5. This int.nextLine takes care of that enter key that I have to give to press it in. So the int.nextLine code is required because to make the end line character disappear. It doesn't get the number because that's what int.next in. Because it says give me a number. Because I'm not converting this int.nextLine into a integer. Because the number is eaten up here. It doesn't get a number. Assuming the user gave me the correct value and didn't give me 2 numbers. Which line of code initializes and instantiates a string variable? So this initializes a variable, and this instantiates a variable, and this one right here initializes and instantiates it, because my string is not string. So if this said string, this would have been correct. But because it says my string is not an object, because objects start with uppercase letters. This initializes, does not instantiate. This assumes that it's already initialized. Woohoo does not exist. So that's a compile error. String change equals new. String new does not make sense because it should be new string. And string me along in this class equals failing grade equals correct answer. This is a compile error because this has spaces. And this isn't a value and this isn't a value. And string wrong equals no would also be correct. So there's actually 2 answers on that. Next one. Which is the correct debug output for the replace all method? This one doesn't have 2 parameters. This one has 3. This one has none. This one has 2, which would be correct because 2 are there and 2 are there. This has 2 and none. This has none and 2. Please realize this outputs word, which is the value I get from the user. This is the method call that I'm printing out as a string. This is the value of A and the value of B. This prints out the little comma, and this prints out the end parenthesis and semicolon. And then this prints out the value of the method. What does void mean? Nothing. The easy way to remember this is to avoid returning anything. Void a void. Boolean is true false. That means only true false values. Which one returns nothing? None of these. A and B are not strings. No other code exists. That would be wrong. Happy days is not a string. So this is the correct answer because it's returning an integer. It's taking in a string, which is double quotes happy, and it's taking in a number, which is 2. This is not a string, it's a variable. This has no parameters. This is not returning type int. These are variables. This is not a string, it's actually just a compile error because there's no double quotes. It's also not returning an int. This is not returning an int, and these are just nonsense. So this would be the correct answer. Next one! Your test has been deleted. Anyways, I had to give a string there, sorry. Have a good one, I will see you later!